Hello, people of YouTube. Today, I want to do a little bit of a opening and review of a new tool that I've got. It is a 26-piece drum sander set that you can use on your drill press. My brother has one of these. I couldn't get the exact set that he has because apparently they no longer make it. But I found this on Amazon. It had decent reviews. I was going to get one from Harbor Freight, but the reviews on it were kind of sketchy. I went with this. Doesn't really have a name, which is a little concerning, and it very proudly says made in China. Let's open it up, play with it a little bit, and see what I think. This arrived at my house in a envelope, a big USPS envelope. So no box or anything, just this in a padded envelope. Let's open this up. And one of the things I really like about it from the start is it has a case. So everything will be nice and neat to put away and stack up on a shelf somewhere. We have 5 different size drums and several little sander pieces that go on the drums. So really this is a 5-piece set, not a 26-piece. Because there are 5 actual tools and then sandpaper. It's not like I didn't know that when I went to get this. I wanted it because it had the different sizes. I didn't want to just buy one. But it's real simple. You take one of the drums, you slide the sandpaper over it, and all of these except for one are 13mm nut. You just tighten that down. This is the first time using it, so it may take a while. Oh wait, looks like I'm going the wrong way. So that's interesting. Usually it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but apparently in this situation it's backwards. What would normally be loosening is apparently tightening. Might be better if I put this on the drill press before I try to tighten it all the way up. All of these different drums, the nut on top is 13mm. With the exception of this tiny one. This tiny one I believe is a 7. I don't actually have a combination wrench that is 7mm. I honestly don't see myself using this. It's about the same size as one you'd find on a Dremel, and not really suited to my purposes. Now the case is sturdy. I mean, it's not super cheap. I've gotten things from Harbor Freight that came in cases before and they were way thinner or flimsier plastic than this. It's not bad. Let's go throw this big guy on the drill press and see if we can't tighten the nut down there. Stick this guy in here. I edited it out, but I worked on tightening that top nut on this drum for quite a while, and it didn't seem to be able to get tight enough to hold the sandpaper in place. Well, that's highly disappointing. Let's try another one just in case this is a dud. Alright, this one is working much better. And I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of wood, but the idea is you can sand the edges down, which is good if you want to curve something off or need to get in a recessed area. This recessed part is not going to fit on the disc belt sander that I have. So, fire it up. So this one works like I expect it to. And I went ahead and threw another one on there, tightened it down, it seems to be working. So this one works good, this one works good, this one appears to. I haven't tightened it down all the way. We'll just, for good measure, stick it in here and try it out. Loosening is actually tightening. That one's pretty tight too. That works. So these three work. I'm not even going to bother with this tiny one. You can stick a sleeve on there. Goes on nice and tight. This one probably works just as well. If I'm going to use something this small, I can just either use a Dremel or throw one of the Dremel ones I have in here. So I'm not even going to bother with the teeny tiny one. Basically, it's a real simple device. It's just a long bolt with two big metal washers, and this nut tightens it and squishes the rubber so that the rubber expands and holds onto the pad. Now, I've noticed that when I tightened this up before, this washer wasn't centered. It was off to one side. That may have had an effect. So for good measure, I have carefully lined it up as close to center as I can on top and bottom. We're going to put it back in here and give it another shot. Yeah, it's still loose. So I wonder if maybe it's not so much a problem with the drum itself. Maybe these aren't quite the right size. I do get the impression they're not the top quality. They're not very good quality. So what I think I might do is run to the Lowe's or Home Depot, run to the hardware store, see if I can't find some more of this size and try those on here and see if they work any better. I've gone and picked up another sanding drum. I picked this up at Harbor Freight. I went to a couple of different places, but they didn't have them. And I didn't want to drive all over town. I knew Harbor Freight had these kind of drums. Really, it's too long. You can cut it down to size. So this one seems to be a tighter fit than the last one. Let's tighten it up and see how it does. It's a much tighter fit. So it would appear that the sanding drums that come with this kit are junk. The ones for the big one are just too floppy and a little bit too large. This is a thicker, sturdier paper and a rougher sand. Of course, I got, I think it was a 60 grit, as I figured for the most part this is going to be used for cleaning and shaping corners. In conclusion, a bit of a recount. It is an inexpensive set. I believe on Amazon it costs about $12. I chose this over the $8 or $9 set they have at Harbor Freight, which 20% coupons are easy to get, so it would have been slightly less than that. Main reasons that I chose this particular set over the Harbor Freight one is the reviews for the Harbor Freight one were iffy, and the Harbor Freight one didn't come with the case. I thought it would be really nice to pay a few extra dollars and get a case for it. I feel like they just could have made a smaller case just for these and not had the extra room for the sanding drums. But that's just me. I feel like the main ones I'm going to be using are these larger two. These two may come in handy from time to time, but this little bitty one, I could just use the one off of my Dremel tool, really. That's so tiny, I don't think I'll ever even bother. Now, because I went to Harbor Freight to pick up some more sanding drums, I did take a quick peek at their kit, which is very much the same as this. I don't know if it's just 4 or 5 pieces. They look like the same build, so I think they're very possibly come from the same supplier. One goes to Harbor Freight, one goes to whoever company this is. I find it very odd that the nut goes on backwards. I guess maybe they had something to do with the fact that it's made for like a drill press or a drill. And the idea is, I guess that will keep it from spinning off, although I really can't see that being an issue at all. The sanding drums they send with it, the actual paper is thin and not effective. Right now, the only place I know to get replacement drums, sanding drums, is from Harbor Freight, and they're quite a bit longer, so they'll have to be cut to size. Certainly not impossible, but a little annoying. So it's about worth the money you pay. If you're not looking for a case, go ahead and save a little money and try the Harbor Freight ones. I feel like the Harbor Freight ones are probably no different from these, even though there's some bad reviews. But if you have any questions, any comments, please leave them down below. I thank you for watching and stay creative.